Hello and welcome to the Aldridge filling station July edition. We don't know yet whether this will actually be our final online meeting before we return to the community centre, which of course is where we originated and where we hope to get back to. But it actually would be lovely to hear from you, viewers, or rather participants in these sessions. And you can comment whether it's on Facebook or whether it's below the YouTube video. We would really like to know, has it been helpful to you to have had these online meetings? And have you ever been to a real world filling station in our community centre? Or is that something that you might consider doing? If you did attend in person, what would be the situation that would have to exist before you would feel safe and comfortable to come back? If all restrictions might be lifted, as we expect relatively soon, are there some restrictions that you'd actually like to still see us putting into place before you feel safe to return? So we would love to hear from you and your views and opinions as we move forward. And just to say that we don't have a meeting in August, we have a break, but one way or another we will be back in September, of course. So we've seen various venues, haven't we, in areas of life opening up for us in this country. And at the moment there's actually a petition underway encouraging Christians to sign it, to really press the government to lift the no singing ban in churches by July the 19th at the latest. It has been hard, hasn't it, that particular restriction, but I actually feel that God has perhaps used it to challenge us churchgoers about what worship really is for us personally. It can be quite easy to gaze at a screen and even to sing the words without actually engaging our spirit. And it's perhaps given us an opportunity, because we couldn't actually sing the words, to maybe discover and discern our spirit within us and to lean our spirit into the Spirit of God, to actually sit in His presence as we sit under the worship that has been created by our singers and our musicians week by week. Or we can practice praying in tongues maybe, or just letting our imagination be touched by the Holy Spirit to see perhaps images and pictures that might speak to us. We can engage in spiritual warfare, or we can intercede. We can, of course, worship with our body, and even the act of standing up during worship, even when we can't sing, I think is an act of worship in itself. So where all these ways of worshipping have been encouraged, I think that what the enemy intended for ill, because we know that he hates worship, of course, I think perhaps many Christians have found new ways of worshipping that are actually deeper than maybe what they did before. And I actually hope that when we do get back to being able to sing, that we would really have discovered something more about what spirit-filled and spirit-led worship actually is. And that we'll just see these worship times in the future as simply a holy space in which we can direct our spirit and sit in the presence of God and go wherever that leads us. And of course we do owe an awful lot to our bands here at Filling Station and in our various churches that have helped us to continue to worship in spirit, whether online or in person. And I encourage us that if we're able to return to our church services, and particularly perhaps you've never tried one before, that even with the restrictions we have at the moment, nothing can prevent God meeting with His people. Nothing can prevent God bringing the fruit of the Spirit within us. Nothing can prevent Him healing amongst us as we meet together. And of course nothing can prevent Him using us in that space to knock back the enemy activity. So whether as you join us today you sing aloud in your home or whether you don't, let's enter into God's presence as we join in worship. And just to know that as we do that, He will draw close to us as we create that space and priority aside for Him today. And we'll then hear our speaker for this month, who is Richard Fothergill, who is the founder of the filling station nationally. So let's worship in spirit and in truth.